Hello, I'm the devil, and I would like to talk to you about a profoundly influential author. I still haven't come to fully comprehend exactly how influential, but I'm sure, even without knowing it, you've seen things that are basically pulled right from Lovecraft's works. Any fans of Evil Dead might recognize the book The Necronomicon. Many of you may have heard of the character Cthulhu. Somehow Cthulhu became the figurehead of the Lovecraft, what do you want to call it? Mythos. Because a lot of the time his mythos is referred to as the Cthulhu mythos. But what I actually want to talk about is Lovecraft's tendrils, all the ways that his ideas have, I don't know, kind of shaped the way things are now. I'm not saying it's any different from everyone else. I mean, everyone kind of shapes the world in a way, but let me get specific. This will probably be one of the shorter videos, and it might actually, this whole thing is going to be an ongoing series, but what I really wanted to get to in this video is, Lovecraft's, what's the word? Influence on people's perception of the occult. And basically, some people have come to accept, like, Cthulhu and things like that as legitimate, like, gods and things like that, and that's wonderful. I think that's just wonderful. But what I'm saying is, when people talk about, how do you summon demons? Like, what do the bad guys do? Like legitimate bad guys. You ask, like, a real, devout, God-fearing Christian, it's like, well, what do Satanists do? It's like blood rituals and this and that. And it's like, I'm not saying it's all directly pulled from Lovecraft, because I'm sure a lot of things that Lovecraft put into his books were kind of pulled from real life. Like, people fucking, like, chopping people up and fucking doing bizarre rituals and shit like that. But the Necronomicon, I think, is the number one thing, because just go on YouTube and you'll see all the videos talking about how the Necronomicon is real and H.P. Lovecraft just made it up, or H.P. Lovecraft was trying to cover something else, or H.P. Lovecraft actually wanted to infect the masses, depending on whatever fucking video you want to watch. My favorite Necronomicon is actually H.R. Giger's Necronomicon. It's an art book. I've only recently come to wonder exactly how big of a fan H.R. Giger, my favorite artist, how much of a fan he was of this other artist, this H.P. Lovecraft. Mind you, H.R. Giger works in art and not in, let me re-speak that, he works in paintings, airbrushing. There was a couple pastels, mostly airbrush. His stuff that'll make you shit yourself. His airbrushings, they're amazing. They're unbelievable detail. And one of his big art books was the Necronomicon. I think he even had a Necronomicon 2, I believe. They're actually one of the books that I don't have of his. His art books are fairly expensive. But I was thinking, well, maybe he just kind of liked the name Necronomicon. It's like, the more you read into the Cthulhu, dare I say it, the Lovecraft mythos, it actually kind of flows right into Giger's work. It's a direct quote from Giger is, and I say direct quote, but I'm gonna probably bastardize it, but a quote from Giger is, that's what he likes about art, is there are no rules. You can make your own world. You can do what you want. And that's what I like about art, too, I think that was, after hearing that's when I started enjoying drawing things, not like, because I have trouble drawing people and things like that, but I can draw horrible abominations and monsters. And once that idea that, oh, there are no rules, you know, like, you can just do what you want, it's like, it's okay to just draw. Like, the idea that Lovecraft, some of the ideas that Lovecraft had in his books is creatures that seem like they're really fucking horrible either are only horrible because of humans' perspective to them, or they're just very strange, very alien. And so they kind of seem horrible in that way. But I haven't even gotten close to getting through Lovecraft's work. To be entirely honest, I haven't read a single book. I've actually listened to all of them on audio format. Which, you know, I'm sure some people can say, oh yeah, I don't really fucking read. And it's like, yeah, fine, I agree with you. I want to sit there and read. I'll listen to the story. Good stories. This is going to be more of a scatterbrained video. I think I might have said at the beginning I want to talk about his influences on like the occult and things like that. But I want to do a little bit more research before, you know, I want to see exactly how many people claim that the Necronomicon is real and give some examples and stuff. But this is just kind of a vague overview of what this series is going to be, is how I'm realizing so many things are influenced directly by Lovecraft. And I'll probably go into all these in more detail. Arkham from Batman comes from Lovecraft story. Anybody who likes Reanimator, of course, you know that's Lovecraft. That's easy. But Evil Dead is a little bit less known to be sort of it's just the Necronomicon, really. And actually, people have said that it's different from the way they describe it in the books. But honestly, it's spot on from what I've heard. Like I say, heard, read, whatever. Is that, yeah, it's basically like a textbook on like demons and stuff. Well, not demons, otherworldly abominations and things. And again, I haven't gone through all the literary details. I'm sorry to sound so proper. Trying to sound smart. I haven't gone through all the stories, so there might be more specifics about the Necronomicon that I'm not actually aware of. But from what I understand, it's a book that gives you descriptions of things and also descriptions potentially on how to interact with certain things. I'm not sure if that's every single description also has a, oh, here is the floating pig monster from, you know, Shoggoth. You can always interact with it by this. This is, you know, how to deal with it, or whatever. Or maybe some of them are just vague descriptions. I don't know 100%, but the way the Necronomicon has kind of fallen in the psyche, the part that really got people was, oh, it's a manual on how to summon things. And it's like, yeah, I think it's neat that that's a big part of it, I'm sure. But it's also cool to think that there's just a book of, like, just things that you wouldn't believe that people would draw. You know? Like, just unbelievable, horrible abominations from other worlds, you know? And that's a big part of Lovecraft. It's just like, oh, that's disturbing. But it was also kind of based on your interpretation of what you read. And that's what's interesting about Giger. And I wonder how much... That's why I really want to... Because he's my favorite artist, and I'm only recently going to look into whether Lovecraft actually influenced them. You'd think it would have came up before. But it's the idea that Giger took that, what's that horrible abomination idea, that unseeable, ooh, it'll twist your mind, and just draw that. You know, like, that ain't unseeable, it ain't undoable, it's doable. There are no rules. And it's like a confliction between two ideas, where Lovecraft is like, there are rules, in a way. Like, sanity is a very fine set of circumstances. But in my philosophy, and maybe even buried in Lovecraft's work, because it's not all straightforward like that. It's not like everybody goes crazy. You know, I mean, like, it seems to often be a side effect. But again, I don't have all the stories to reference, so there might be a lot of examples of them getting more specifically into why small, fragile human minds can't take these insane stories or visions or whatever. But going back to Giger there, it's like, yeah, not only can you, that's the beautiful thing about H.P. Lovecraft, is you're not actually sure if he really tried to conceive these ideas, or if he just wanted to leave you to your own devices to try to conceive those ideas yourself. And then from that, over the years, people, try to draw Cthulhu. And it's like, Cthulhu is actually a pretty straightforward one. But a lot more of his descriptions are so fantastical, even in fantasy terms, like a creature that has both tentacles and thick hair. It's like something that you don't really see. Even though, I'm sure if you did an exact interpretation of a Lovecraft book, it would seem very similar to a lot of things you've already seen. But not because Lovecraft has really ripped other people off, but because everyone ripped off Lovecraft. I don't know, it's weird shit. Like, watch In the Mouth of Madness. It's neat, because it's actually, when I watch In the Mouth of Madness a second time, especially after, going through some Lovecraft stories, it seems kind of like a parody of Lovecraft. Like, I don't know. It's a Lovecraft character realizing he's, finding out that he's in a Lovecraft book. And that's a very, I'll just keep using Lovecraft as a noun, or a verb. Wait. A noun. Because it's so, this idea of us being really tiny, he basically even tries to make the gods seem tiny, not inconceivable. Even though a big part of his, mythology seems to be making things very inconceivable, you can't possibly comprehend this grand insanity, he'll also throw things out like Akatosh, the creator of the universe, is a blind idiot god. And I love the fact that most things are taken from a human perspective, but there'll also be huge fantastical descriptions that are, just a narrative perspective. And it's I never, even just now, I just, you can just think about Lovecraft stuff, and it's really neat, because even now, I just came to think, it's no one could ever comprehend what, I believe it's Akatosh. No, I'm saying that's fucking, Elder Scrolls, isn't it? Oh, what the fuck is the name? Isn't it? Well, somebody, I'm sure someone out there knows what the Great Chaos that birthed the universe is called, or the Great Chaos is the beginning of the universe, whatever it is. Blind idiot god. The only thing that could comprehend that it can't comprehend. How could you comprehend that something couldn't comprehend? I mean, you could say that about every object. Oh, it's a blind idiot fork. But it's a blind idiot god. And there's other gods that circle it to kind of keep them calm and everything. And so it kind of almost contradicts itself a little bit. I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling. But in a way, that's kind of the neat thing. And then I'll just say, oh, that's because it's like Lovecraft. But no, I'm not going to really say what I'm saying is like Lovecraft. But that's what I like about Lovecraft, is that it's just a grand... the stories don't even really amount to much. There's usually no great big, oh, we're gonna solve something. It's just you might survive. Usually, a lot of the times, the main characters don't even fucking survive. And, who was talking about it? I think it was the Angry Video Game Nerd who was talking about it. It's wow, Psycho killed the main character. Who does that? You know who does that? Fucking H.P. Lovecraft fucking does it. He kills the shit out of his main characters in horrible ways. And you learn the long road there. Not necessarily, I'm not saying that's as a rule all stories go that way. You could think of lots of stories where the hero lives. But there's that feeling of, like, being in the ocean. Of, like, there's things big around you. It's like, yeah, you know, you fought off the shark, but he like, chewed your leg off, and it's like, there's blood in the water, and you're bleeding out, and it's like, you're gonna die eventually. It's like, sure, you survived, what's an example of a character that survived? The Dunwich Horror. You survive, spoilers, you survived the Dunwich Horror, you know, but you realized that you couldn't really kill the fucking thing. You realized that you had to basically play by their rules to even have a chance of touching it. That if you didn't, like, fuck around with their stuff, that you wouldn't have, like, it could have just demolished you, steamrolled your ass. It's invisible, unstoppable. But then, in that same Dunwich Horror, I was going to say the same Dunwich Horror story, in that same story, you have the brother of an invincible being. Both sons of a seemingly invincible, otherworldly being that we don't even really come in contact with. But this brother, who's basically, the whole book is just building up what a scary motherfucker this guy is. He's a big, huge man. Like, oh, he's odd and strange, and he's not human, and everything's odd about him, and he's a monster. But he went to Miscitonic University, motherfucker. That was his mistake. He went there. And it was where he needed to go. It had the tome that he needed. And actually, if the librarian had been a little bit nicer, he would have gotten exactly what he needed. But the guy had a bad feeling about him. Or a bad feeling about what he was into. And so, he didn't give him the book. So he, this monster of a man being, and again, spoilers, I really don't want to ruin the Dunwich Horror, so, like, skip this part or something if you don't want to know how part of the story goes. Really cool part is he goes back to Miscitonic University, and I might even be completely wrong with it, I'm pretty sure it is, to just steal the book. But, there was a guard dog there. And I think they do say something about him having a pistol and it jammed or something. Which is funny because they built this big monster man. It's like he was just going to shoot the dog. And again, I might be wrong about that because it was a while ago. But, I think I listened to Dunwich Horror twice, actually. But, this brother of an otherworldly god, demigod, who himself is essentially a demigod, he is taken down by a guard dog, you know? And so in one story, you have an unstoppable, unseeable, basically unknowable being that, because of a few scraps of information laying around, you were able to pull together enough bullshit to fucking get it out of your world. But you couldn't kill it, you could just get it out of there. But then his brother was killed by a quality guard dog. And you know, I'd really like to do a spin-off story about, like, a cult that starts worshipping the guard dog. It's like, he slew the son of our god! Like, seriously! Like, he fucking killed him, like, he thrashed the shit out of him, and didn't even end him, just, like, left him to just sort of, like, fucking spaz out on the ground and slowly, like, breathe and die. And I think it might have turned to mush or something like that. I believe his otherworldly appendages kind of, disappeared. But I might be wrong about that. Again, I want to listen to the story again. This is kind of an overview, and for the other videos, I do want to actually, like, re-look over Lovecraft stuff. And Quiet Dogs, and the other... Shut up! And the other stuff that, you know, I'm talking about. So I'm not just, you know, going off by memory, but, you know, that is how I do a lot of my videos. And to some degree, you have to go off memory, because I can't very well. Although, I could do, like, a commentary on... Hey, shut up! Jeez, you dogs are fucking miserable, man. Stop staring at each other and you won't go insane. Jeez, losing my mind here. Anyways... Yeah, I just totally lost my train of thought. That's great. It's a 20-minute video and I can't remember where I was going with it. That's so awesome. Yeah. So, I guess to summarize, I wanted to get into more detail. Oh yeah, I think that's even what I was saying. I wanted to get into more detail about things I'd be talking about. And hopefully find some more interesting information. Because, you know, it's pretty surprising how many things are influenced by Lovecraft's work. And more I'm finding other things that are, like, based on a story by H.P. Lovecraft, you know? So, you have a good evening. I'm the devil, and I love you.